Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome into Morning JOX. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you on unfortunately, a very rainy Tuesday here in the Birmingham area. So make sure you use caution when you are out and about this morning, as it's going to be rainy here for the next little bit, as well as a little bit chilly today. So we have a lot to get into today, as yesterday, a big day for the Auburn Tigers as they officially introduced their 33rd head coach in Alex Golesh. Got to hear from him officially for the first time, speaking to the media as the head coach at Auburn, and got to hear from him for, I was thinking about 45 minutes. It was quite some time yesterday that you got to hear from Alex Golesh. So we'll get into some of that. We actually had some more coaching news in the world of college football yesterday, believe it or not. We had another coach hired in the SEC. Kind of hard to believe, but that's the way that things are going to start moving now. It is the end of the season for a lot of teams, and a lot of things need to be put in place very, very quickly because tomorrow is early signing day. So you gotta get your ducks in a row, and I think that's why you saw so much movement over the last 48 hours. Is there's some big moments coming up here in the next couple of days that people want to have their ducks in a row so that, they can have the best chance to put the best roster together.
I completely forgot that it is signing day tomorrow.
Yeah.
It
doesn't mean
right. It's not as
same.
much as it used to be back in the day. And when you had that one day in February, the first Wednesday in February, you knew it was locked in on recruiting. And then now it's, we got to hire a coach today. And my God, you got to be ready for a press conference tomorrow. No in between. You don't have that. You don't have any middle ground. And like now it kind of goes to that point when you said yesterday when Alex Golesh basically as soon as his 2 feet hit the ground in Auburn, he had to shake hands and talk to the recruits of like, hey man, the future is now.
Oh, I saw a picture of him with Shadarius Tootle and his family like 3 hours after he had, we had heard he had gotten the job or whatever. So but that's the way that it is now, right? That's what the job demands, and I think that's also why you see some people that have left for opportunities to be not a head coach or to go to the NFL. But that's kind of another thing altogether. So we have a lot to get into there. Of course, we got to keep talking about Alabama in the SEC championship game and really what's on the line for them because the college football playoff rankings coming out tonight could shape up a very interesting Sunday depending on how some things go over the weekend in the conference championship games. So a lot to get here today. Quickly, we will shout out, and then we won't talk about it again. Congratulations to the New England Patriots as they absolutely demolished the New York Giants last night, 33-15. I'll be honest with you, didn't watch a ton of this game because once it was 17-0, I felt like I had a pretty good idea of where this thing was headed. I did get to see Jackson Dart get absolutely smoked out of bounds, though, which continues to be an issue for him as he's just came back from a concussion, and that's the first thing you see is him getting ragdolled on the sideline. But I guess that's the way that he likes to play. But Drake May, he leads the Patriots to their 11th win of the season. They are now 11-2. Really, really fantastic turnaround there for the Patriots under Mike Vrabel this year, looking like potentially a real Super Bowl contender in the AFC part of the bracket, at least, as we move on. So that was Monday Night Football last night, and congratulations to the Patriots. We can move on. You didn't miss anything if you didn't watch the game last night. If you watched it, you kind of knew what you were in for anyways.
Did you notice anything on the first drive for New York defensively? Abdul Carter wasn't out there?
Oh, yeah, because he was
just doing a different film study.
I was about to say he's had a problem with not showing up to meetings.
Yeah, and even when he shows up to meetings, it's he's not locked in. At first, I thought it was a fake report. Then I was like, oh no, this is real. This really happened.
So this is the guy that requested that Lawrence Taylor unretire his jersey number for him, right?
Yeah.
When he got drafted last year by New York. According to Mike Kafka, who's the interim head coach there, he said that was his decision. And according to Abdul Carter, he said in radio-friendly terms, crap happens. I don't think that's the answer that I would want to be getting from my first-round pick who was getting benched to start a game because...
Yeah, right. I mean, in other instances, you could probably have that as a rebuttal, but nah, big dog, I need you focused. different film study.
Yes. He, let's see. That's right. Okay, yes. So he was benched for the beginning of the game against the Packers 2 weeks ago because he fell asleep in the team facility when they were having meetings. He didn't make them.
It's something about these young guys. They don't seem to understand. Him and Keon Coleman. Like, Keon Coleman's out here getting healthy scratch because, he's not paying attention to me. Dude, this is the NFL. There are thousands of guys who would do anything to be in your position right now. And you got to realize, these guys don't need you. No matter where you were drafted, we've seen first-round draft picks and number 1 overall picks absolutely dwindle out. Like, these opportunities they're not given to just anybody.
So what you're saying is Ryan Williams is trying to be like Keon Coleman.
Oh, my gosh. No, I was not.
That was a joke, everybody. I'm kidding. He did play the other night. He played like 35 snaps. He just didn't catch anything. But
didn't get a target.
It was a joke. We're having fun. We're having fun this morning, just messing around. All right, let's get into a little bit of this Auburn stuff from yesterday. Alex Golesh introduced there on the Plains as the new head man for the football program, and we'll let you hear a little bit from him, as this was really kind of, for a lot of you, probably your introduction to Alex Golesh, right? Maybe you are familiar with, the USF teams or what they did to Alabama, or you remember him when he was at Tennessee and how good their offense was. But for a lot of you, probably the first time you actually heard the man speak in front of a microphone, certainly to address your fan base. So let's talk a little bit about the offense, right? That's kind of his bread and butter, as we know, top 5 in total yards and scoring offense this year at USF. So this is Alex Golesh yesterday, him talking about the Auburn offense and what his goals are going to be on that side of the ball. All right, so there you go. It's going to be fun to watch. Sounds good to me. And if he brings, part of why you're hiring him is because you're banking on him being able to bring that offensive success that he's had at USF along with him. It will be interesting to see if Byron Brown, who's the quarterback at USF, if he follows him to Auburn, because he has 1 year of eligibility left. But again, it speaks for itself. Alex Golesh has been one of the best offensive minds in college football for a number of years now. We just have to see if it can once again translate to the SEC like it did when he was at Tennessee.
Yeah, and the thing about Alex Golesh, man, and I had a discussion with a couple Auburn fans yesterday, and I said specifically, watch the development at quarterback. Like, when you watch Hendon Hooker from 21 to 22, you saw it clicked. It just clicked. Now, Joe Milton, he was a project. He could throw the ball 6,000 yards in the air, but by God, he couldn't hit a hitch route that was 7 yards away from him. But I think the development in quarterback, and if you really watch, and I even said this about Deuce Knight, I said, he reminds me of Hendon Hooker. He's slim, he's tall. Now, he's more of an explosive runner than Hendon Hooker was. But as far as what I think Alex Golesh offense usually looks like, when you see those home run balls, I think the accuracy that Deuce Knight will probably grow into. Again, he was a freshman, and his only game that we really got a chance to see him was Mercer. And he looked amazing. Like, he really did. Now, when the quality of competition on defense starts to step up, I'm interested to see what it looks like. But if you're Ashton Daniels and you're an older guy and you've played a lot of football, having Alex Golesh in that room is definitely going to help you. And, kind of looking at how they looked under Hugh Freeze, and, there were play designs that looked amazing. But I do think that Alex Golesh, specifically on the offensive side of the football, it's hard for me not to believe that this thing is going to iron itself out. It's going to work. Now, again, Hugh Freeze's offense wasn't bad. It's just you didn't execute. When you had moments, oh, yeah, it was clicking. I mean, we saw Jarquez Hunter run for 200, and we know what Hugh Freeze's offense usually looks like is a lot of passing all over the yard. And really and truly, when the pass game worked, it was effective. So I think it's more of the bodies that you have over there. I'm interested to see what the offensive line looks like moving forward, because that's the biggest problem. As far as skill sets and skill-wise, think about this. Jalen Hyatt won the Biletnikoff, and nobody that watched Tennessee that year thought he was one of the best receivers in college football. It's just the numbers couldn't deny it. So I'm interested to see what it looks like as far as, everybody's talking about Cam Coleman and, should he hit the transfer portal? Well, really and truly, you got a guy that's pretty good at play design, and he's going to find a way to get you the ball. It's just you have to catch it. So offensively, I have no question marks of what Alex Golesh is. To me, it's more of the bodies that are on that side. What is their skill set going to look like, and how's it going to marry up with what Alex Golesh wants you to look like as far as the offense goes?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how, because, again, based on what we know, Auburn is planning to, once again, be kind of up there in, like, the top 10 in terms of spending for a roster, and you just wonder what that looks like for certain guys, and guys that, maybe they think there's more value elsewhere at certain positions, right? If they decide to go in the portal or look elsewhere. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of that plays out with the Auburn roster. And I'm sure a lot of those guys they want to retain, but, it's not just Auburn, it's every school, right? There's going to be guys you want to retain every year that you don't. So we will see how all of that transpires. But let's get back to Alex Golesh. How about the defensive side of the ball? Let's talk about the defensive staff, right? I think a lot of people have question marks about that. Is DJ Durkin going to continue to be on the plane? So this is Alex Golesh talking about putting together a defensive staff to complement what he can do on the offensive side of the ball. So there you go. And he was asked directly about DJ Durkin yesterday, and I will just say this. He did not answer the question. So, he didn't. He was asked, it was kind of a multi-part question,
right,
and he specifically answered all of the parts of the question except that about DJ Durkin. I would just say this. I think it would be awesome, right? If you could retain DJ Durkin and pair him with Alex Golesh and that offensive staff, I think that would be really, really good if you are Auburn. However, I think it's also fair to say that there maybe I would just say put yourself in DJ Durkin's shoes, and maybe you thought that you were going to be in a certain position right now and you're not. And if you had people tell you that that was the direction things were trending and then it didn't happen, you could see where maybe that would be a difficult decision. So I will just leave it at that as far as DJ Durkin. We'll have to wait and see what the final decision is on that. All right, let's wrap it up with this. The last we'll hear from Alex Golesh, his press conference yesterday. This is him just talking about being grateful for the opportunity to be an Auburn Tiger and be in the SEC and lead this program. So there you go. Pretty fired up and grateful Alex Golesh there as some things wrapped up from his introductory press conference. And now he is off and running as the head coach of Auburn, trying to turn this program around and get them back to the winning traditions that many of us know them for. So that was Alex Golesh yesterday. But there's a lot of other coaching news going on outside of the plains of Auburn. We also got to hear Lane Kiffin for the first time as the LSU coach yesterday. John Sumrall the first time as the Florida coach. And did Nick Saban maybe make his first mistake as a media member? Have we seen Nick Saban maybe for the first time? Going to see a little bit of the wrath of social media. I'll tell you why that might be and what I think about it next here on JOX. Welcome back into Morning Jocks here on a rainy Tuesday. Conrad and Damian with you until 7 o'clock when we'll hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Got to get into some more coaching news going on, and particularly one comment. Look, it wouldn't be a Lane Kiffin press conference, right, if he didn't stir the pot just a little bit. But let's get to quickly the newest member of the Southeastern Conference. That would be one Will Stein, who has been announced as the newest head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats. So Stein is the offensive coordinator there at Oregon, has been for the last couple of years. So, of course, he's gotten to work with Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel, now Dante Moore. Pretty good track record there with those three quarterbacks that he's gotten to work with at Oregon. But he has played his college ball at Louisville, so has some ties there kind of to the state of Kentucky. And based on everything that I had seen, it essentially came down to Will Stein and Brian Hartline, who is the offensive coordinator now at Ohio State and was the longtime receivers coach there. He's excellent as well. But they ultimately go with the guy that's got a little Kentucky in his background, and that is Will Stein. So congratulations to him on the opportunity. It's certainly, you know, I guess you have a little something to work with there with Cutter Boley, right? Like you have maybe some optimism at that position that you can grow and develop him into a solid starter here in the SEC. But you know, let's be honest, you're going from Oregon to Kentucky. It's going to be an uphill battle, I would say, for him in his coaching career. But hey, Kentucky swings for the fences. He's 36 years old, so they're going young, and we will see if that pays off ultimately for the Wildcats in their near future. All right, now let's get to a couple of some fun moments from yesterday in the world of sports. All right, let's start off. We'll talk with Lane Kiffin. All right, so Lane Kiffin, he does his introductory press conference yesterday. Of course, he was like 40 minutes late or whatever, but shocker.
Typical.
So there were a lot of people there in Baton Rouge on hand. I thought that generally speaking, I mean, look, some of this stuff, man, you could tell he's had it rehearsed by now because if you've been paying attention to this whole saga, you're hearing him say the exact same thing multiple times over and over and over again. Again, I'm sorry. I just, there's something that I find comical about, well, you know, Pete Carroll, Nick Saban, and I've been praying to God, and they all basically told me to go screw over Ole Miss. Like, it's just, come on, man. Like, he is trying so hard to do everything he can to not accept the blame and put his hand up and go, hey, this is what I wanted to do. I'm glad this is ultimately where I ended up. I could have handled it better. I apologize to the Ole Miss players, the Ole Miss fans. I didn't mean for it to end that way. But no. He's continuing to double down. He's still bringing up, oh, it's their decision, and it's fine, but I can't believe they're not letting me coach in the playoff. Like, are you crazy? I'm sorry. Like, this dude is just he is an excellent football coach. He is such a narcissist that it is comical. Like, and that is peak narcissism, is when you don't think you have a problem. You think everything else around you is the problem. You're the problem. But it's entertaining, so we enjoy it. So let's listen to this little excerpt. This is from Lane Kiffin. This was probably the moment that got the most buzz from the press conference. And this was him talking about, again, those conversations that we knew that he had with Pete Carroll and Nick Saban leading up to his ultimate decision to take the job at LSU. So this was Lane Kiffin and talking about Nick Saban. So there you go. So a lot of people reading between the lines on that and taking it as, oh, well, Nick Saban was telling you that LSU's telling Lane that LSU's a better job than Alabama. And maybe that is what he said. I don't know. My problem isn't, look, if that's what he said, okay, that's fine. Nick Saban has said many times that his biggest regret in his career was leaving LSU. So if you're an Alabama fan and you don't think that there's a little part of him deep down that always wishes he had stayed to LSU, I don't know what to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. He won 6 championships at Alabama. I appreciate that. I'm good. I'm good. Here's the thing that I think some people should maybe have a problem with more than what they're actually having the problem with. And that is the fact that, so you have Nick Saban, who is getting paid $500,000 a year by the University of Alabama to what we assumed was consult with the current coaching staff. And this guy is now going on College Game Day and defending Lane Kiffin and defending his argument that he should be allowed to coach in a college football playoff, despite the fact that he is openly flirting with other programs, and I mean, now he's left. But Nick Saban defending Lane Kiffin, saying he should have the opportunity to do that, which Lane Kiffin had the opportunity to coach in a national championship game as the offensive coordinator under Nick Saban, but guess what? He fired his ass and sent him on to FAU and had Steve Sarkisian step in for that. So not only is that, but you now have somebody that you are paying $500,000 if you're the University of Alabama publicly saying, hey, you need to let this guy coach in the playoff. And also you're giving this guy advice to go to one of your biggest rivals. Regardless of if he said Alabama's not as good of a job or LSU, or he's saying, hey, the Kalen DeBoer rumors, there's no real, there's nothing to it. You're not getting the Alabama job. Go to LSU. Who knows what he told him? But that's the real issue, in my opinion, is you have somebody that the University of Alabama is paying $500,000 to, consulting with other coaches, telling them to go to rival programs while simultaneously trying to defend them against the school that's firing them.
It's a direct conflict of interest.
It is.
And they're open about it.
It is the first time that I think Nick Saban is starting to see, oh, crap, this is part of being in the media, and I'm going to get called to the carpet for this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
He has stuck his foot in his mouth, and we will see if it gets addressed. But I know some people were upset about, he thinks LSU's better than Alabama. I don't care about that. I care about the fact that my school that I support is paying $500,000 to a guy to tell him to go to one of your biggest rivals.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing,
while publicly being a hypocrite about the situation.
Right, and it's the public lobbying of, oh, yeah, he should be able to coach the playoff run. No, this isn't how this works. And yesterday, it really kind of shocked me because, if you hadn't got a chance to hear Cole Kubelik's take on just how, the whole mantra of a lot of coaches, it's finish the job, finish be where your feet are, essentially.
Yep.
Lane Kiffin is he's the exact opposite of that. So if you're Keith Carter at Ole Miss, no, I can't allow you to step back into this locker room when we know. And again, it's something different if you're taking the Virginia Tech job or you're taking UCLA. No, you're going to a conference opponent. You're going to a rival. Like they play in the Magnolia Bowl. Like it's a direct rival, and you're going to be their head coach while we're in the midst of a playoff run. That is the biggest. That's the biggest thing I cannot understand how people cannot what people can't take away from this is you are the head coach of an SEC program, and you're leaving this SEC program in the midst of a college football play, of a national championship run, to take over a team that it's not like they went 3-8. Like this is an 8-4 football team, or 7-5 football team that's going to a bowl game. And, yeah, you could say you're going to take the job, but you could have taken this job in January. Just say, hey, I'll be there. Like, you could we all know Lane Kiffin does things but in the dark. Like, you could have been like, hey, let's not make this public, but I'll be there once this playoff run is over. Could have been as simple as that. And
you want me so bad, you'll wait for me.
Exactly. That's what it is. And that's why I've been kind of bullish on just like if you had to get to the Egg Bowl for you to make a decision, that we knew this whole weekend was going to be insane anyway. But the fact that it came out that family members are taking trips to Gainesville and Baton Rouge, like you're openly shopping yourself. You're openly telling us that, oh yeah, like I'm just gonna dip out and just see what the interest is. It's nothing like that. It's like, man, like you have a girlfriend, but you're stepping out. Like you have a whole wife in Ole Miss, and you're literally looking at the mistress like, hey, once I get done with this divorce settlement and stuff, I'll be over there. I'm coming to you. Like just wait on me a little bit. But you could have taken this job after the college football playoff run. Either way, it was going to hurt. Like it's going to hurt. but the whole way you go about it, to me, is just bad business. Like, if you're LSU and this thing doesn't work out, one, you're paying him basically $100 million to come coach, and if it doesn't breed any success, you have the biggest egg on your face, because not only did you think that you were stripping, you're stripping the heart from Ole Miss, but now you're in a worse situation than y'all already were in, because you still in issues with Brian Kelly as far as he paying out his contract, but all you did was just double what you were paying Brian Kelly, essentially, to Lane Kiffin, for a guy that hasn't done anything. Like, this isn't a national championship winning coach. Like, this isn't even a conference championship winning coach. And I love Lane Kiffin offensively. I love everything about what he does on the football field. But the way you went about this business, it's terrible. Like, there's no public PR that you can do to kind of mediate this situation of, okay, yeah, sorry it ended like this. Sorry we had to do this. But this was shady business, and you get what you reap what you sow. So if it doesn't work out, both of y'all are just going to sit there and look dumb while Ole Miss is sitting there with Pete Golden like, hey, we got a chance to win a national championship, dog, and we're rocking with you.
It's certainly an interesting situation, and see, we've ruffled some feathers this morning, because somebody on the Courtesy GMC text line, did any of us ask for Conrad's opinion this morning? Well, by listening into the show, you did, because that's kind of what we do here on a daily basis. But they say Nick Saban was thinking about the players. You need to go back to bed and wake up on the other side. Why are we paying Nick Saban $500,000 to give a damn about what the Ole Miss players are doing? Look, I understand. I am breaking a rule now. I am criticizing the greatest human being since Jesus Christ to step foot in the state of Alabama. I understand. Heaven forbid. But God, call a spade for once. Like, the dude's not your coach anymore. It's okay to put your hand up and say, hey, I think this is messed up.
Right.
The dude, like, I get it. People can't handle the fact that maybe you don't agree with everything that man does.
And you think about the Ole Miss players. If I'm an Ole Miss player, I'm like, bro, get out of here. Yeah, get out of here, man.
Why do I care? Am I paying him to be a consultant in Oxford for Pete Golding? Hell no. No. That's crazy, man. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get all mad and riled up this morning. We do have the college football playoff rankings coming up tonight, though, and I think there's some big questions. Speaking of Nick Saban, we'll talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide. Some big questions coming up tonight. Will we get answers to them? We will have to wait and see, but we can learn a lot tonight with the playoff rankings. We'll dive into that next here on JOX. I'm sorry, everybody. I got a little worked up this morning. I didn't mean for it to be like that, but here we are. So we appreciate you tuning in, though, to Morning Jocks here on a rainy Tuesday morning. Connor and Damien here with you, and we're going to talk college football playoff in just a minute and then get to your calls and text. But got to pay off the tees here. And a quick reminder, we'll be at Social Taco today from 10 to 2 for three-man front. If you want to come out, say hey, and join us, we will be out there for that. And just say maybe tomorrow you get a little more than an hour of me and Damien, but we'll save that for tomorrow. All right, before we hear from you, some questions that I wrote down heading into the playoff rankings tonight. What are the things that we need to know heading into the conference championship games? And what could we learn tonight that could ultimately change maybe how we view those things? Or let's be honest, a lot of this is going to apply if you're an Alabama fan and you're nervous that a loss in the SEC championship game could kick you out of the college football playoff. Which, yes, I understand. I did see the graphic that was going around last night that I guess ESPN's predictor or whatever said last night that Alabama has a 39% chance of making the playoff if they lose the SEC championship. I will just tell you this. If you go and look at Las Vegas right now, you could get, for Alabama to make the playoff yesterday, they were minus 3,000. Do you know what that is? That is a lock.
That's a lock.
That is a lock. So, again, I think maybe the reality is somewhere in the middle, right? I don't think it's necessarily a 100% chance, regardless of what happens, that Alabama will get in. Do I think that they have right now probably about a 75% chance of being in regardless? Personally, yes. All right. But let's get to the questions for tonight and what could ultimately, help us get a clear picture of what will happen on Sunday. So the first one, right, is, are we going to essentially have the same top 10? And specifically here, my question is, with you winning the Iron Bowl, which I know a lot of people will go, oh, it's a road win over a team under 500. I get it. Like, it's not a huge ranked win, stamp it on your resume type thing. But I do wonder, does the committee look back now and go, all right, we have the full regular season ahead of us. Alabama 10-2, Notre Dame 10-2. Yes, we like Notre Dame's losses more than Alabama's loss to Florida State. I totally understand that. But now that you're 10-2, you are the number one seed in the SEC championship game. You do wonder if maybe they reassess that a little bit and put Alabama ahead of Notre Dame. A lot of people think that's going to happen. That's also kind of why I think the minus 3,000 in Vegas is kind of banking on that happening tonight. If that does happen, in my opinion, you have nothing to worry about if you're an Alabama fan at that point, because you then have the one spot buffer, so to speak, where if BYU were to upset Texas Tech, then you could both still get in and everything would be fine. So in my opinion, if Alabama does move up a spot tonight over Notre Dame, they're going to be good to make the college football playoff. We just got to wait and see if that's going to happen. So that's my big first question. Do they finally kind of reassess things at the end of the regular season and maybe tinker a little bit and put Alabama above Notre Dame? Because Alabama certainly has a better resume than Notre Dame, but they haven't been willing to do that so far. With that, if they do jump Alabama over Notre Dame, do they then also finally say, hey, look, Miami, you finished the season strong. You're 10-2. You had a win over Pitt. They were obviously going for style points in that game. Is this kind of where they just start to reassess that whole thing? Because I could understand if you're a Miami fan, you say, well, so now you're changing your opinion and you're moving Alabama over Notre Dame. It seems like you would also then have to have that discussion with Miami and Notre Dame. And I know that's, again, going to continue to be a big question until the final selection on Sunday. And then finally, my other big question is, what happens with Ole Miss? Do they get penalized for losing Lane Kiffin and a lot of their offensive staff? I think regardless, they should be in the playoff. If you're going to ding them a spot or two, I guess. But I will say this. If you are going to hold them accountable or punish them for what Lane Kiffin did, you need to do it this week. Do not do it on Sunday. You need to do it now. You need to have had your mind made up, because nothing about how you evaluate this team between today and Sunday is going to change. Everything is the same. And if that's the case, then you need to have that decision made up tonight, whether you're going to ding them and move them down a couple spots or keep them where they are. So those are kind of the questions I have tonight for the college football playoff rankings, of course, to set up for Sunday. But a lot of eyes going to be on Notre Dame, Miami, and Alabama, obviously, as those are kind of the three teams fighting it out. And one of those teams at least is going to end up on the outside looking in. Right now, the odds would tell you that's going to be Miami. But we've also seen, I know it's completely different setup. It was a long time ago, but I think we all remember, right? You had Ohio State jump TCU and Baylor the last week of a season, and the very first year of the playoffs, right? Like we've seen years where in the final week, the committee will kind of go back and say, hey, we messed this up earlier in the rankings. We're going to fix that now and kind of surprise some people. So that's what we're looking for tonight with the college football playoff rankings. And we will, of course, have reaction, our thoughts on that tomorrow, if anything there does end up changing. But let's go to the phone lines real quick. Some of you wanting to chime in, join in on the conversation, and we would love for you to do so this morning. Let's go to Alan in T-Town. Alan, what's on your mind this morning?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm good. Look, I have not made up my mind. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, I'm an Alabama fan. I really don't care at this point. Here's my question. A couple years ago, we said NIL is something that the players deserve. The transfer portal is something they deserve. The coaches have all this freedom to come and go as they please, and the players don't, and that's not fair. I did not disagree at this point.
Yeah.
Whatever LSU did and whatever Lane Kiffin did and whatever Ole Miss did, I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong. Do I think tampering with players and staff is right? Absolutely not. But is that not what we've created in college football? With a yearly transfer portal, pay for play, and I understand the rules have changed. But if Lane Kiffin could sit there and tell all his players, hey, we can do this at another school, you just got to come with me, is that not what we've created?
No, I think, and thank you for the call this morning, Al. I think that's a great point. That is just kind of the reality of college football now. Unfortunately, and I agree with a lot of what he said, right? Like it's, I don't think it's right to tamper, but everybody does it, right? So it's just, it's just kind of the way that the world works. I guess I look at it like this. I think everybody in this situation, you could take a little bit of the blame for. Maybe not Ole Miss or LSU. I mean, they're trying to hire a coach, right? Like they're doing their due diligence. Maybe there's something that we'll find out later that you could point your finger at. But for the most part, I look at this as Lane Kiffin decided to drag it out the way that he did, and he decided to handle this the way that he did. And I wouldn't hold Ole Miss that accountable. If anything, I think you could maybe be a little mad at Keith Carter for allowing Lane Kiffin to handle it this way and get away with it for so long. But other than that, I mean, it's just the world you have to accept, right? And that's why I get it. It sucks when kids transfer and you feel like, wow, maybe they robbed, some NIL money from the school, or, we didn't get a return on investment. But then stuff like this, it's right. It is the world we created, like Alan said. And if a coach can get up and leave at any point in the season, how can I sit there and say a player shouldn't be able to do the same thing? I don't agree with it. I don't want it to be that way, but fair is fair, right? If one person can do it, I guess everyone can do it. But that's, again, this is a conversation we've been having for years now about the new world of college football, and I think we're going to continue to have it for quite some time. But we see you on the phone lines, AJ. We also see your text coming in on the courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. That's where we'll wrap things up, and that's where we'll go next here on Morning JOX. 6:49. Welcome back into Morning Jocks here on a rainy Tuesday. Conrad and Damian here with you for a few more minutes before we hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning, where they will continue on with the college football conversation until 10 a.m. And then three-man front will take over from Social Taco from 10 until 2, followed by Paul Feinbaum. All right, back to the phone lines we go quickly. AJ, he's been waiting by patiently, wants to get on the phone with us. AJ, how you doing?
Doing good, guys. Conference deal. I don't think there's any rule that says Saban can't tell Kiffin, what he thinks of the LSU job. My only issue is that this assumption that LSU is this great job, better job than Alabama. What evidence is there of that? I mean, Alabama has beat that LSU Heine for the last 60 years, and I got sick and tired of hearing Kiffin wax poetic about how special of a place Tiger Stadium is, as if we don't own that building. That is Bryant-Denny West. I mean, how many times have they even beat us down there? It's not much. It's 2 or 3 in 50 years or something like that.
No, yes. For Alabama, yes. I will say for every other program in the country, it is a horrible place to go and play. But yes, for Alabama, they've had a lot of success there.
And in terms of stress and heartache, and who has given me that, LSU is at the bottom of that list. I mean, Auburn gives me much more problems than LSU does. LSU is just a nice walk in the park. I mean, the only coach that LSU's ever had that gave us any problem was Nick Saban. And even then we went into Baton Rouge and beat that Heine 31-0. So I just, that's the thing, this idea that LSU is some kind of much better job than anywhere else, they can take that, and shove it. So that's all I wanted to say. But, yeah, Saban can call them up and he can say, hey, it's a nice place to coach or whatever. I'm sure it is. The main thing they've got is they're the only thing going in that state. That's their real advantage. If we didn't have Auburn to deal with, what would we be able to do in this state? That would be awesome, quite frankly. But anyway, that's all I got.
Thank you, AJ. We appreciate it. No, and that's a great point that he makes about, that's one of the reasons LSU is viewed so highly, right, is they don't have – direct competition in the state with another Power 4 school or another school in the SEC like, Alabama does here, or, Florida and Florida State and Miami, all that competition, things of that nature. So, and look, I agree, right? Nick Saban can talk to whoever he wants to. You can have phone calls with whoever he wants. It's the fact that, okay, you're telling Lane Kiffin to go take a job somewhere else. Meanwhile, you're publicly criticizing Ole Miss essentially for not letting him coach in the playoff, while you're also telling that same guy to leave. That's really what a lot of it is, on top of the fact that, yes, he is on the University of Alabama payroll and he is getting paid to give that advice. But, yeah, look, if he can talk to whoever he wants to. I'm not dumb. I'm sure he told people while he was at Alabama where they should go take a job. I get that, but it's just the opposite. And it's LSU.
Right.
It's like that.
It's LSU.
That certainly doesn't help. All right, let's get to the courtesy GMC text line here as we wrap some things up. Let's see. Heath, he chimes in. He says, Conrad, you were being real, and I appreciate that, but now you and the other listeners know where other fan bases don't like the Alabama fans and their entitlement. Even that guy talking about LSU better than Alabama, I guess he didn't realize that the Bama job isn't open. Not yet. I'm kidding. God, I'm sorry. I got to stop with these jokes this morning. Got to stop with these jokes this morning. I will say this. If you were curious about Penn State, it looks like Kalani Sitake, the BYU head coach, that is the belief there, because Mr. Heupel said he's not interested.
Duh. I don't even know why they even picked up the phone and reached out.
Due diligence, I guess, but
Get out.
I would have stayed at Tennessee as well. And I don't even like that place. All right. Let's see. This one rolls in. It says, I agree with y'all 100% about Nick Saban. He talks about how he regrets leaving LSU, but I don't think he would have won 6 titles there. There's only one other coach that's done that, and it wasn't at LSU. It was at Bama. I don't know why they're paying him $500,000 a year when they could be putting it towards NIL. Coaches don't want him around there anyways. He's nothing but a distraction. I don't know about that. I mean, look, do I think Do I think that he has been an asset and sometimes to the new coaching staff? Absolutely. Do I think it was more the first year than this year? Yes, I do. And I think it's fair to question, what are you really paying him for? I've always believed you're paying him for what he accomplished in his career there. I always looked at it, you're paying him to stay around the campus, wave, shake some hands, help out where needed, but it's a lifetime achievement.
Yeah.
Salary.
Just be an ambassador.
Apparently for LSU. All right. Jeremy says, this Alabama team does not deserve to be in no playoff. They are not that good.
Stop.
They are the number 1 team in the SEC right now.
What?
They are the number 1 team in the toughest conference. But
oh my God.
Everyone, hey. Eye test doesn't work for Jeremy. He doesn't like it. Let's see. This one says, Conrad, don't apologize. You're entitled to your opinion. I agree with you for the most part. Let's see. I agree with you 100%. Nick Saban shouldn't be promoting anybody but Alabama.
But Bama, baby.
Let's see. Yeah, a lot of you chiming in. Well, good. I'm glad to know a lot of you see it the way that we do, similar with Nick Saban. It is what it is. We'll leave it at that. Mac and Cube, those guys are up next.